Hello LightStanza supporters. Today I'm creating this video to show you how to do your first calculation using Revit. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to lightstanza.com and download our free Revit plugin under the Resources tab. You can find it right here. Go ahead and download that and install it. Once you've done that, you can go into Revit and you should have a LightStanza tab up here in your Revit menu. You want to select that, and then to get this Revit model into LightStanza, I'm going to go over here and hit this Export to LS button. Once I do that, this window pops up. This is telling me the LightStanza is actually going to pull from a 3D view, even though I have my 2D view open here. And once I hit OK here, if I move this menu, you'll see that that is the 3D view that LightStanza will be pulling from. So it's important that your scope boxes or any other cuts that you have here are what you actually want to bring into LightStanza. But once we have that squared away, I'm just going to go over this export menu with you really quick. You can export the entire model. You can export by room or floor if I select that. I can go in and select an entire floor if I want to. I can select individual spaces. Maybe I'm doing typicals. This is going to go faster than bringing in the whole model. So when you're doing this, just keep in mind that you may want to optimize the data to increase your speed. For this demonstration, we'll just select the whole model. The next step is to go to Revit categories here. I can choose what Revit categories that I want to export into LightStanza. Maybe it's an industrial project, so I want to include cable tray runs. You can select everything. You can do minimal, which is just basic building geometry, or you can pick anything in between, make some selections for the things that are important to you for your calc. Again, this is something you may want to optimize. If you select everything, it is going to take longer to upload. After that, we want to decide if we want to include our electric lighting data, the light fixtures and the IES files. If this is lit up, you're going to include them, but you can also choose to exclude them. And then LightStanza also has the ability to auto-create your grids for you. You want to go ahead and check that box if this is something that you want, and then you choose whether you want to import by room or space. LightStanza highlights whether it's finding rooms or spaces. Since it found these, that's probably what we want to select. And then you can select your calc grid height. We default to 30 inches. You could put something custom in here. It's totally up to you. So at this point, I would go ahead and hit export. Because I was going to export the entire model, that would take a few minutes. So to save time, I have this export already brought into LightStanza. This is what it's going to look like. You'll see here that I have the building geometry and my light fixtures. But maybe I want to change the IES files for these fixtures. To do that, I would go up to this electric lighting menu, and you can see all the different IES files that are associated in this project. I can also select a fixture, select the IES file associated with this. I can upload a new one from my desktop. You can also build a library and pull a new IES file from there. If you bring something in that has this red warning symbol, that's just telling you that there's no IES file associated with that. So I can just select that fixture, come over to this menu where that highlighted, select no IES file, assign from the library, pick the one that I want. You can see that warning symbol goes away, and now those are assigned. We also give you the ability to modify your IES file and your Revit geometry once it comes into LightStanza. If I select this fixture and right-click on it, I can go over to View Edit IES File. If I move over here in this menu, this blue piece is the IES file with the associated Revit geometry. I can change the dimensions of it here, make the width of it 2 feet to fill up that entire fixture. I could also change the length. We give you some other options too. You can change the location of the IES file if it came in the wrong place. When you brought it in from Revit, you can correct those IES file locations within LightStanza and even change the rotation angle of those. In this menu, you can also adjust your light loss factor. We give you your initial lumens. You can apply a multiplier here. Let's say that I changed a 4-foot fixture to an 8-foot fixture. I can change that to 2. It updates my calculated lumens and updates my input wattage for me so that my lighting power densities stay accurate. That is something that LightStanza tracks for you. Okay, once we know that we have our light fixtures and our correct IES files assigned, next thing we want to do is go ahead and run a calculation. So when I am in plan view like this, I am able to run calculations for these calc points. I would just go up to calculate, go to grid illuminance. You can select a normal or emergency lighting calc. I'll show you what normal looks like. If you wanted to do emergency lighting, you can see I've got some fixtures here designated as EM. To add those, it's as easy as selecting a fixture, right-clicking, and then telling it that it's EM. Whenever you come over to the lighting family menu, you have an EM output, so you can adjust that appropriately as well. While this is running, I'm just going to go ahead again, in the interest of time, show you what this looks like. So here is a finished calculation for this entire floor. So that is what that information looks like. I've also teed up an emergency lighting calc here to show you what that looks like. You can see those emergency fixtures, calculated some light coming out of them. Maybe you want to optimize this though. Maybe you don't want to calc the whole building. That is going to take a little bit longer. Maybe you want to focus in onto a single space. With LightStanza, it's as easy as selecting that space, right-clicking, and then doing a crop to space. Now I've temporarily hidden all of that other geometry and all of those other light fixtures. This is going to make this calculation run a lot faster. So I could run a calc just for this space, which would look something like this that I've already calculated. And then if you want to remove that crop, it's as easy as selecting the room again and saying clear crop. Another thing that people probably want to know is, how do I navigate from 2D into 3D? So the fastest way that I've found to do this is you can just select any point in plan view, right click, say view location in 3D. When I do that, whatever point I pick, it's going to orient my field of view towards the center of the room, which is why I'm picking on the periphery here. But I'll go ahead and say view location in 3D, and you can see now it's snapped me to 3D with that view. And you need to be in 3D to be able to run your renderings. So if I go up to calculate, now you'll see that I have the option to run renderings, and I have the choice to do a luminance rendering or an illuminance rendering. And I've teed a couple of those up here for you just to show you what those look like when they're done running. So we've shown you how to run some calcs and get some renderings. How do you get your report data? Which is really easy to do in LightStanza. You'll notice that under this calculate button, I've got a history of all the calculations that I've run over here. So I can just go back to this calc that I did for the entire building, and we have this little clipboard where I can do a view report. So if I select that, you'll see that this report pops up. It gives me the information for the entire floor plan as a whole, and then it also gives me a breakout room by room of all the light levels and my lighting power densities. I can go ahead and print this report to a PDF. I can share this report as a link or an email. I can also download these report files. So if I hit that button, this is going to take a while because this is for every area in this building, but it's going to give me a zip file. And now I have things like my luminaire schedule in Excel format, a room schedule in Excel format. I've got a DXF that I can use to bring into another program like CAD or Revit. So you have a ton of information here that we try to give you so that you can use this any way that you want to document your calc. We also have the ability to send changes between Revit and LightStanza. I'm going to show you that really quickly. So if I go back to Revit and go back to my plan view, I can select fixtures in Revit. Let's say that there were some changes to these rooms or changes to these layouts. If I move these fixtures here and go back to the LightStanza menu, I don't have to re-upload this entire model again. You'll notice that there's this Send Changes button here. It's telling me that it's found 5 changes. If I hit that button and go back to LightStanza, you can see that those 2 light fixtures changed position. So we have the ability to send those back and forth as well. We also have the ability to send calculation points back into Revit. So I'm going to select this report of this full floor plan here. When I go over this, it'll say send all calc points to floor in current Revit view. So as long as I'm in the Revit view that I want to send these to, I can just hit this button. And this may take a second, again, because it was for the entire floor. But if I go back to Revit, it'll tell me that it added these DXF files. And if I zoom out here in Revit, you can see that all of my calc points have been placed into LightStanza. So we have the ability to send information not only from Revit to LightStanza, but from LightStanza back to Revit. We can also do things like send schedules back into Revit. So if I go to this same calculation report where I sent my calc points back, I can hit this button to send schedules to Revit. Revit is telling me that these schedules were added. And now if I go to Revit and go down to my schedules, I can see that I've got things like my luminaire schedule that came into Revit so that I can use this for my drawings. We also give you information like a room schedule that has every room, the level that it's on, the square footage, your lighting values, your lighting power densities. So if you're doing your ComCheck or your Title 24, this type of schedule can be really beneficial for that. Or you can also just include it on your drawings if that's something that you want to document. So hopefully this is very informative for you to run your first calcs with Revit. If you have any questions, reach out to us at support@lightstanza.com. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have or set you up with a demo. Thank you.